Yes? What is it? It means I'm a patrol officer, sir.
What was with that, sir?
Well, I guess
Cut the shit. Every second you stand here running your mouth, the case grows colder. Again? I can't believe...
Hi, gendarme. Another rendezvous. Hi. So what brings you here? Admiring the atmosphere. What about you, officer? Convenient. But what are you doing here? Talking to me? Oh yes, let's see. He knocked on my door a few days after the lynching. I think he was going through the entire building, asking questions. Nothing. That I didn't see anything. Why shouldn't he? What friend? No, I don't think it came up. Muscular, handsome, strong, like one of those military types. Yes, but he was speaking to someone on his earpiece. Yes, you know those tiny speaker microphones that fancy security guards sometimes wear. Just reporting back whatever I was telling him. Oh, let me think. He had an accent. He sounded like one of those mercenaries. He sounded vaguely Oranese. No, not vaguely, scratch that. He sounded definitely Oranese. Sure. Anything else on your mind? You did? And how did you like him? I told you, he can be very useful. I guess that's the charm of powerful people. A visitor from the first world. He's not like you and me, gendarme. He can always return to his opportunities in Occident, sur la clé. Still, his coming and going brings some life to the village. Or is it just money? Friends, I told you. Sunday friends. Friends who like to get together from time to time. That he won't be there when times get tough, I guess. It is. On Sundays. He has keys. And he likes the view. To the sea, I mean. What about me, gendarme?
It's the sports. He's a sports guy, all about that physical prowess and athletic skill. Nothing else here.
Bye-bye, gendarme.
Wait, no. Something about this bunch doesn't smell right. They are, but they don't seem too keen to talk with you, do they? No, they don't. Glenn seems to be contemplating grievous bodily harm while he massages his raw knuckles. In the far back, Eugene is doing his best to ignore you. And from his perch at the end of the table, Titus Hardy himself stares at you with a cold contempt that makes you want to leave the cafeteria straight away. Besides, you're pretty sure they consider themselves social democrats. Indirect modes of taxation. Turns out, those Financial Oversight Committee gangsters stuffed millions of hard-earned dividends away in the last place anyone thought to look. The hearts and minds of everyday Rivasholians. You need to spread that deregulation gospel to the people. Tell them about that foreign fare tax. Preach that 98% gross burden. Preach it, preacher man. Set the brothers free. Taxes are racist. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Yes. The armor was produced by Fairweather in their facilities in Bétancourt, sur la Clé in 42. It was part of a special order for Corps de Pharmacie, a security firm contracted to protect the interests of Oranese pharmaceutical companies in the Semenine conflict. So, it seems the armor went to Semenine. That's where the paper trail ends, though. Even the firm has proven difficult to track. Corps de Pharmacie has been renamed several times over in the years since the armor was issued. Yes, that is the most recent name the ICP has been able to connect to the CDP. And the one before it was Damwell. I also have one called Sediment, but I think that might be a different contractor. No, they were called Sediment. And Somatosensor, it seems. All that during the last 9 years.
A suit of armor like this would have been manufactured with a particular person's physique in mind. You should ask for whom this suit was fitted.
Yes, but the ICP tends to be reluctant to share private sector records. I could try to talk them into it, though. Sure. Call back tomorrow. Hopefully I will have more information for you then. 57's over and...
In the cabin, you see a set.
That's one brutal motor carriage.
If I were a real skull now, I'd jack it, paint it in palm tree livery, then bottom light it, neon style.
A snazzy shit-ripped skullmobile like this would make a fine trophy. We could, like, hang fucking shrunken heads from the side mirrors. Cops' heads. Scary tribal shit.
Yeah, tribal shit. A cop carriage like this would have proper skull value.
While I appreciate the interest you take in my brutal motor carriage, I have to stop you right there. The RCM takes threats directed at its property seriously.
It's just theoretical work, Copper. No basis in reality. Man, if we were certified skulls right now...
Skulls. Now there's a strong organizational title.
I can tell you who we're not, cop. We're not snitches or skulls.
Which is not to say that the skulls are bitches and... On the contrary.
The part of this presentation you want to take home with you, cop man, is we're not part of the skulls yet.
Okay then, let's indulge in some intellectual exchange. These young men seem eager to share their beliefs.
You don't know? What kind of cop are you?
It's not a question. Don't get into it.
The question was rhetorical. The Skulls are the most vicious gang of the Besmertne.
Besmetine, or the Besmeti, the Immortals, are West River Shoalian crime syndicates.
The nastiest bunch of psychos ever. Jacking carriages and getting into high-speed chases.
Possessing an infinite amount of fuck-all swagger, infamous for their non-verbal modus operandi.
If a skull spots you, he will pull out his dagger and stab you without saying a word.
The lieutenant's voice is as calm as usual. a testament to the violence and death he's witnessed through the sight of his firearm.
They usually occupy the burnt-out quarter in Jamrock, or you can find them loitering around their brightly painted bottom-lighted vehicles.
I can't wait to become a skull. Bottom lights are wretched aggressive. Murder? Yeah, sure. We'll gladly tell you everything we know about it. It was a man.
Also, he was hanged. He was hanged from a tree.
Yeah, I mean, duh.
These punks don't know anything. Let's just move along.
Hey, stop right there. How does one know anything?
Ah, this sounds like epistemology, a field so occupied by thought that it begins to question thought itself.
Exactly. How can one know shit? For example, how can one be sure that there truly is a body hanging behind a hostel?
What if it's art? Or just a mere specter?
Maybe it's true. The hanged man is merely a prop in a performance. We are the audience, and the artist is hiding somewhere in the dark.
So what do you think we know? Oh yeah, Cindy's a right proper skull.
Yeah, a true artist of the future. Just like Arno van Eyck.
By the way, if you see Cindy, give her our regards.
For all their nihilistic posturing, these young men are not lacking in youthful idealism. The lieutenant on your left is unusually lenient toward them.
Old man, it doesn't matter. You'll be long gone before his greatness is recognized.
A young woman kneels on a sheet of ice, as if looking for something lost ages ago. She bends until her right ear touches the frozen water. She listens to it crack, slowly.
Yep, old as fuck.
Yeah, man. It's like at death's door. No wonder you know nothing about the future. You won't be there.
The Union does their share of policing in Martinez, at least where gangs are concerned. That's why there isn't much organized crime around here.
Don't you worry about that. We're gonna make up for the deficit.
Yeah, we are. We're not franchise skulls. Well, not yet. Once we get our name out there, we'll have a chance to join them. Because we can be just as psycho and vicious. You'll see.
Ah, you'll see for sure once we're in. It's the last thing you'll ever see before the void consumes you.
Throw him off his game. You don't feel very scared.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're only saying practice things for now, so we don't mean no harm to the Skulls brand, or to you.
This is definitely something the Skulls would say. But we're not trying to encroach on the Skulls brand in any way. On the contrary, we're just here to market it.
Hey, we could be just as hard. Like pavement on top of pavement, or a brick on top of another brick.
Or a grave on top of a grave.
These kids have the vocabulary, but might be missing a brain. Wouldn't a grave on top of a grave be just a big hole? What's hard about holes? Filling them up, baby.
Mm-hmm. What about them? Well, first off, it's a statement and not necessarily something that characterizes me as a person, even though the statement has character. And I do like piss. The word piss epitomizes the struggle taking place in the world. Things being defined as they seem, not as they are. And, I guess, it's also about communal spirit, the future, and truly appreciating our differences. Also, you've got to admit, it catches the eye. And since the Grand Piper is slowly but steadily moving towards basing the economy on it, attention, it is imperative that the medium itself convey the message. What I mean by this is, we are all pissed, and that the world is inherently meaningless.
Though he seemed lacking in vocabulary, it seems that the young man has expertise in at least one field, even if it's rather narrow.
Like I said before, many men keep searching for the one, for so-called true love, which is actually just obsession masquerading as kinship. The thrill of the chase, the hollowness that fills your chest cavity after catching it.
I'm wondering if the poetics come with the jacket, or are they derived from something else entirely?
To catch a fish, you'll need to hurl the lure many times, and even then it isn't certain that you'll get anything. If you blow up the lake, though, you get more fish in a shorter time. And, for time is of the essence and fleeting ever so quickly, one must think of a way to fuck the whole world and not get caught up in fucking someone. Because when one fucks everything, he fucks nothing. And that, to me, feels glorious. Sticking your dick into the void.
Hate to admit it, but in a weird way, he's got a point. Is it a coincidence that here we have 2 badass jackets and 2 badass cops?
Yes? What is? What are you implying? For what? The concept of getting dressed is familiar to me, but wearing jackets like these isn't appropriate for an RCM officer, unless he's deep undercover. Neither. Fine, if only to end this discussion. Theoretically, if I were a juvenile delinquent, if I were to already be down that path, I think peace is the stronger of the 2 statements. Seems about right, especially considering your heroic exit attempts.
That's an origin story for a dynamic duo right there.
So are we done here? Or you don't need us around for your secret whisper party, do you?
Kuno saw you wield that can. Sweet graffito action, pig. Kuno likes that delinquent shit. Kuno's part is, you're just shit at life. Now what's your case with Kuno? Kuno doesn't fuck.
This orange machine is, you slip your finger. No, this is going to need, if you want to try.
Equip the pry bar by going to the Tools tab in your inventory. From there, you can
This orange machine is buzzing like an old submarine. It has a hand-cranked ice cream churner on top. Your flashlight some of the writing has faded with the handwriting is only the full text outside. This old fireplace, the whole thing resembles Kate.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die?
Aside from getting naked, you're not sure what else to do. The building holds no more answers for you. The bear's eyes are still glowing red. It's guarding over the freezing corpse hidden inside its belly. There, do you smell that? Can you not detect that inimitable whiff of dissatisfaction and restlessness, that sense that the world is in need of dramatic, even violent reordering? What do you smell? The first thing that strikes you is the overwhelming brine. You imagine yourself underwater, a 100-legged arthropod scuttling along the murky silt at the bottom of the sea. But then, the unmistakable reek of seagull shit hits you, buoyed along on the air currents, an acrid melody atop mouldering cords of wood rot and heavy fuel oil.
Everything in order, detective? You're smelling for... You know what? I'll just leave you to it. Carry on, detective.
The lieutenant lacks your highly developed politico-olfactory cortex. The smell is undeniable, and certainement, a precocious communist youth, a symbol of a kinder, more hopeful future. Now's your chance to establish contact with your revolutionary brothers and sisters.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
I don't believe it. I've never known those boys to have manners. There'll never be skulls, but their hearts are in the right place.
She throws you a conspiratorial glance, then presses her finger to her lips and squints up at the sky.
Have you noticed the quiet? Every so often, you might hear a gunshot pierce the air somewhere in Jamrock. But in Martinez, no gunshots, no sirens. The people are languishing in boredom and complacency.
This place is a sepulchre. We'll paint it red. We bring the raucous. You bring the sirens.
And what do you know about politics? Well, well. Sounds like quite the snout you've got there.
Your olfactory department wants you to know that it accepts no responsibility for wherever this line of interrogation leads you.
Sure. I know someone who'd love to talk that ideological stuff. You're looking for Steban, a right communist who runs a mega cool and very secret meeting. I might... No.
The lieutenant let slip a sigh that seems to suggest this turn was utterly predictable. A wicked grin extends across her face.
Oink for me, piggy. Just once. Wrong! This is exactly how I treat my little brother. There, that wasn't so bad, was it?
The lieutenant, needless to say, is not impressed.
Sounds like you're really serious about meeting Steban. It's touching. So Steban's group meets only at night, in an old room in these apartments here. It just so happens you're in luck. Their weekly meeting is tonight. Poke your snout around sometime after 10 p.m. and you might just find them. Just that he's a real communist. Not like the play acting you've been doing. Oh, smart pig. Because there is. See, Steban's a bit on the paranoid side. He's got all these mega secret passphrases. Sure, I do. Steban trusts me. Why would I? That would be so boring. Now, let's see if you're half as dedicated a communist as you say you are. That's enough. Off with you then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? I love you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter?
That ride is fucking lightning.
Hey, piss. Look who it is. Shrunken cophead material.
There it is again, that spectral smell haunting this industrial harbor. And it smells like heavy fuel oil mostly, because it's an industrial harbor. Years of turmoil, of hopes and dreams, ground beneath the inexorable tides of capital. Can you smell it now? You inhale. The cilia along your olfactory epithelium tingle with excitement as they sift through the swirling morass of industrial odors. First come the smells of the agitated strikebreakers, layers of body oil and sweat, over-buttered meals pulled from bake-light lunch pails, the biting stench of lye soap. And then there's the slowly oxidizing metal gates, the scent of stale grease emanating from every crack.
Still smelling for communists, detective? Well, I'll be over here when you're finished.
What the lieutenant thinks is irrelevant. Your politico-olfactory cortex is lighting up like a holiday display. Look, it's pointing you right to that railing. Oh yes, now's your chance to establish contact.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you? Yeah, the janitor who gave me the key to his apartment said the guy's a bit of an asshole. Like I said before, I don't know much about this weasel, but the bossman said he's a real piece of work. Thanks for helping out, friend. What's that, Boya?
Now's your chance. Remember, communists are notoriously skittish, so it's best to insinuate your way in. Hold on. This isn't a man who goes in for subterfuge. He prefers someone who'll look him in the eye and say exactly what's on his mind.
Now that is an important subject, but also a sensitive one. Still, good of you to just come straight out with it. No beating around the bush.
Yes, he certainly has a way of just coming out and saying things that normal people wouldn't.
So you've given up copying and now you're hunting comunistas. Care to say why? A fellow plains roamer in search of greater understanding. A classic story. I wish I could help. Unfortunately, I don't know many comunistas. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I'm not institutional. A man's got to blaze his own trail, in my book.
Okay, so maybe he's not exactly a communist, but there's definitely some communistic residue about him.
Ah, but you know, I did meet a genuine ideologo a few months ago. Perhaps he's your guy. Didn't say anything about his name. Wasn't this sort of encounter where names mattered? You know, a guy with a theory. Someone who likes to pit his theory against other theories in deadly theory combat. It was late one night as I was leaving the arbor. He was waiting on the corner in a bright white jacket, classic Saramirizian style. He asked me for a light. We shared cigarettes. Then he asked me if I ever thought about getting into some of the extra physical branches of communism.
See, all this political chit-chat is just an excuse to rip tar with strangers. Let's say we just skip right to the good part then.
No idea. I took it to mean he was asking me to join some sort of underground cell. A very old school organizing technique. The sort of thing comunistas used to do before the revolution. It was alright. A little like something out of a Vespertine spy novel, but I must respect the effort. I couldn't tell you. Once I declined his offer, we finished our cigarettes and he disappeared back into the night. Just before he melted into the shadows, he turned to me and said, "Remember Dobrava and Abadanais." And then he was gone. I don't know. Guess not everyone remembers. Been wondering about that myself. Some comunista inside talk could be. Not meant for the wider public. They love that kind of thing. You'd have to ask someone who knows this ideologo personally.
Not to interfere in your personal errand, but it might have something to do with that passphrase Cindy mentioned earlier.
The lieutenant nods.
Just in time. The faithful partner arrives with the key that turns the lock. You two make a good pair. I salute you, boyas, and wish you good fortune on this grand ideological quest.
The man whispers a jaunty tune. A coastal breeze ruffles his hair. Before the cargo container. Its drawer has not lessened since you were last here. If anything, it seems to have grown slightly.
Mr. Dubois, I hear the meeting with Titus was a glowing success. That's such a relief. Titus can be a handful sometimes. Now, what can Everard Clare do for you today?
A colourful display of cigarettes.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health. Here you go, mister.
The speakers below are banged up and worthless. The sneakers triumph over them. They're the star of the show here.
You keep coming back. That's good, officer. Keep browsing those clothes, keep saving that economy. The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. 100% guaranteed.
Typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted. All the old boomboxes are there, blinking and waiting.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Of course. It's in working order still, isn't it? Just pick your tape and set it spin. The Coldima Madakwa. Sorry, I would never have guessed that you were that interested in ultrasonic sounds. Or birds, for that matter. What an interesting development. Well, it's been a long while since I've gone hunting for the Coldima Madakwa. Once knew a group of young musicians who decided they didn't want to play music anymore, and started looking for all kinds of interesting sounds instead. This was before, you know, lost touch with them after all of that. Cool or not, one of them was obsessed with recording the Coldima Madakwa, and he was one of those passionate people who know a lot about all kinds of strange things, so he got the rest of us to join in his search. We thought we did. We got together all these recordings of unusual sound patterns, compared them, cut them up and combined them into the Symphonia Coldima Madakwa. That really wasn't the point. After the Symphonia, we moved on to the sounds of office supplies or something like that, and I doubt any of us would have been any good at pushing papers. Unfortunately, I don't have any recordings from my old life. None at all. But I do have a tape with some ultrasonic sounds that might be what you're looking for.
Do we really have time for this?
This recording comes from down the coast. Wasn't looking to record anything specific. Just left a recording device there one morning. Keep in mind, I have to slow this one down enough to make sounds well over 200 kilohertz audible to the human ear. It will be strange.
As the hum grows louder, modulating but always unnaturally uncomfortably low, like it's coming not from the speakers, but also from inside your chest. Breathing is becoming difficult. Not good, not good. You're about to start suffocating. You have to stop this. He nods to you, reassuringly, just as more diverse, higher-pitched sounds, some random, some appearing to form patterns, hit your eardrums. Seabirds most likely, gulls and such.
And skewers, but shh.
That's it. The signal in the noise. The thin whisper. A low range of sounds is easier to handle with a focal point, but still troubling. You are mesmerized by the sounds, but also feel nausea welling up as the motif continues, then begins to recede, dissolving in what must be the sound of water lapping at the bank.
You know, now that I've listened to it on these new speakers, it's not the cold Imamadakwa. Wrong patterns, wrong photons. Probably some insect trying to sing higher than its predators can hear. Still, fascinating, aren't they? Early morning sounds. Sure, let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. Another time back.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone. He can't be more than 5 years old. The other one looks indistinguishable from him. He watches his brother kick the stone with his tongue lolling out of his mouth. The kids don't reply, absorbed in their little game.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The stone-kicking one becomes frantic all of a sudden, as if that's something to be scared of. The obvious fact that you just stated.
He looks just like me.
The boy doesn't answer. His brother throws another rock. Both of their hair is covered in some kind of dirt. The rock kicker was just being shy, but now he's enthusiastic again.
You're bad with kids. Don't worry, everyone is. How about we do some police work now? We're not getting anything here.
Tequila! Good to see you. How's business? How's the whole reality situation treating you? So what's happening? Yeah, Tequila Sunset. How are the, high-concept, reality-based adventures proceeding?
He says it like it's obviously your name. Like you call someone Billy Brunel or leader of the 4th Street Gang.
That's harsh. I'm like 3 or maybe 4 years into mine. Wait, no. Make it 5. Things aren't going super well for Idiot Doom Spiral either. Haven't found those keys yet, haven't won that great piece of ass back. No word from my business buddies.
Idiot Doom Spiral, huh? This is bound to be a good, high-concept conversation. At last.
We are saving the world.
Please! Please don't go! Don't go!
Okay, we're drinking. We're drinking alcohol. That's what we're doing. I tried to save the world once, a long time ago, with enterprise, creativity, and willpower. But that didn't work out. So now, it's a pirate's life for me. It's you. You're Tequila Sunset. We've met before. Don't you remember?
No, you sure don't.
Aha. Do you want to know how Tequila Sunset came to be? Let me take a sip to moisten up my chords. Tequila Sunset rolled into Martinez last Friday, and by Tequila Sunset, I mean you. The man, the myth. Hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. This is your story. Stop interrupting. You got here on Friday to solve a case, hoping to be the early bird who gets the worm. And by the worm, I mean the buzz. Because as far as I know, all you did was get piss drunk. Word on the street is you went around the local hostel telling people that you're a police officer, and it would be really fucked up if you shot yourself in the head right in front of them. That's pretty high concept, if you ask me.
It is. Does that sound like something you'd do? Yeah, probably. The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He's listening as casually as he can.
It was a late Saturday night when we, the Union of Moribund Alcoholics, were getting our drink on. Nothing remarkable about this. We get our drink on 24/7. Makes everything warm and glowy. I trust you know the feeling. One moment we hear the sound of a motor carriage revving up somewhere on the plaza, followed by a series of dings and bangs.
Do you remember the sound of wood cracking? The billboard?
Naturally, loud noises pique the interest of anybody owning a pair of ears. That's just the reality we're in. Anyway, there was a brief silence, a gasp of silence, if you will, followed by a real commotion. We heard the carriage careening towards the coast at top speed. Sounded like someone jumped the canal. We grabbed our brewskis and rushed to the jetty. Never underestimate the speed of an alcoholic. What we saw was a sight to behold. A beat-up police carriage containing you. Right there on the beach. You revved the engine and screamed at the top of your lungs, "The time hath come!" So, naturally, being the curious cat I am, I asked what time hath come. To which you replied, "The time hath come for tequila sunset, the end of all things!" After which, your reality contracted. You jammed the pedal, plowed right off the jetty, and through the ice.
The muscles in your right leg tense up. Your hands cramp on the steering levers.
We ran towards the ice whilst you crawled your way out, miraculously unhurt, covered in seaweed and shit, like some kind of sea monster. When we finally got there, you were sitting on the beach crying. You said that your badge and uniform were in the car. It was too late to get in there, though. The carriage had sunk too deep. Recognizing a brother in need, we offered our condolences and invited you to party with us, which you naturally agreed to. We asked about the whole tequila sunset thing, and you told us it was your name now and insisted that we all call you that from then on. No, that's just what your mother called you. Your real name is Tequila Sunset. Just embrace it, brother. Ours. It was an all-night drink-a-thon. Then, at some point, I think it was Sunday morning, you got belligerent and wanted to talk about Revacholian women. How they're beautiful and also whores and so on. How one of them fucked you real bad. After a short while, you crossed the event horizon, looked sullen, got up, and left without saying anything.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yeah, I bet Tequila's a fucking legend around the precinct. You must be proud to work with him.
If you only knew.
You were pretty vague about it, but you kept saying you got fucked real hard, and that we've all been fucked too.
No one's fucked me. I do the fucking around here.
Abigail!
It seemed pretty painful, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I'd say you're still working through some shit. Beside your gun and your badge, you said something about your hope or heart or something. To be honest, the details are a little hazy. In retrospect, I guess you lost your motor carriage too? That's a big one. You told us that they were a bunch of fucking losers whose main interest was cramping your style. No specifics, though. It was more about you that night. You were the star of the show. Yeah, you said it was no biggie and that you'd solve it in no time. And that you didn't need anyone to do it. You're doing it solo now.
A lot of cops go solo and hermit once they reach that level of alcoholism.
Yeah, you kept talking about how the coal mine owners were fucking us all over, just like that woman fucked you. I didn't agree with you, by the way. The spectral hand of the market makes sure everyone gets exactly what they deserve. You kept apologizing for being such a bad cop, and for the damage you've inflicted on everyone around you. You also kept pausing to knock the heel of your hand against your temples, saying, "Stupid, stupid, stupid." It's a hard thing for a man to confront his past. That's why I avoid mine at all costs. Whoop-de-doo. So now I'm a fucking storyteller. Right, why not? Better than a beach bum. It depends, really. Are you willing to help me out?
The gleam in his eyes and the slouch in his posture is so incredibly familiar. You might get scammed here.
I don't want it, man. I need it. Can't tell stories without it. Dry stories are boring, you see? So, have you got anything for good old idiot Doom Spiral? A bottle for a story. Seems classy.
Hey, Spiral Boy, you gonna share that?
Don't call Abigail!
Shut up, guys. I'm telling a story here. Something happened to you. Something happened to me, too. My actual name is George, but around here, you already know. I was once a reasonably high net worth individual, a founder/junior partner at a high-concept creative services agency. When my story begins, I had just landed a major contract with an insurance firm. I used the profits from my agency to finance what I called a cultural incubator. Abstract value generation, value per person, high concept stuff. I developed the paradigm, worked within the paradigm, but the burden of leadership weighed heavily on me. So I went jogging every so often to keep myself sane. "22 full-time employees, an all-star team, a potentially historical set of individuals. Worrying about them often kept me up well into the morning hours. It did. With my trusty Sansarique tracksuit, I felt like I could conquer the world. But now dreams are worn thin, much like my tracksuit. One day I left on my evening run, as you may know, it's impossible to clear your head when you're distracted by the sound of keys jangling in your pockets.
His eyes are clouded, his dilated blood vessels encircling his irises like stinging brambles. His eyes are your eyes.
So I removed the keyring and put the keys for the front gate and the apartment into different pockets to stop the jangling, you see? At least, that was the plan. I was halfway done with my usual lap when it started to rain. The reality situation became very wet, very quickly. Wet, okay? It was raining really hard. I made my way back home and discovered that I didn't have the key to the front gate. I'd mixed it up with the key to the letterbox, which was useless. Naturally, the situation required me to climb over the gate, which I did. There was no climbing down because I slipped and landed on my ass. Ouch, indeed. Reality was looking rather grim just then. Me lying on my ass in a mud pit in the middle of a heavy shower. But when life knocked me down, I always got up. So I made my way across the yard. Standing in front of my apartment door, fumbling with my pockets, I realized that I'd also forgotten my apartment key. I rang my neighbors' buzzers. It was late, and most of them didn't even answer. Those who did assumed I was trying to sell them something and hung up before I could even explain the situation. People are naturally wary of ad men, you see. One moment someone chats you up, 5 minutes later you've bought a box of edible lingerie and a strap-on. I don't begrudge them, especially since I was known to be one of the best. Just then, I experienced a moment of clarity. I still had the key to my office. I could wait out the storm there. But when I reached my office, I remembered that I'd asked one of my producers to change the locks that day. And since I hired only the best, he'd already done it, and I couldn't get in. Anyway, long story short, life spiraled out of control. I haven't gotten into my apartment for years, and my girlfriend left me because she didn't want to date a homeless man. The company, well, you see where I'm going with this. So, now you've heard my tragic tale. What do you think? Like nothing you've ever heard, huh? Tequila, I've thought about this series of events for a long time. If there was anything else to it, I would have thought of it by now.
Why didn't you go to the authorities?
Well, at one point they came to me, but, you know, I didn't have any ID on me, so they tossed me in jail for 2 days. I can't say it increased my faith in the RCM. No offense, gentlemen. Me neither, Tequila. When I lost my keys, I lost more than access to my apartment. I also lost my leverage over humanity. I wasn't a high-concept creative director anymore. I was just some homeless asshole with a premium Sansorique Lycra tracksuit. You can't imagine what that does to a man's confidence. Anyway, that was all the story one bottle gets you. Almost empty, this one. Good fucking question, Tequila. If I knew the answer, you think I'd be hanging out on a beach in this formerly premium but now extremely dirty two-piece Lycra tracksuit? I used to own my reality situation. My business buddies and I had our own creative services agency. I had a nice apartment, an even nicer piece of ass. But somehow it all got away from me. Now I can't hang on to anything. Just last week I stole this nice new jacket, but then I lost it too. The only things I haven't lost are these two drunks.
A lost jacket? Sounds like a mystery you could look into.
My agency. Man. The Boom Boom Room. Our concept was combining high art with the lowest forms of marketing. The color red, breasts, and oil painting. I convinced my partners to reinvest some of our profits in an even more high-concept cultural incubator called Thin Air. The artists were happy, the clients were happy. I was financing a group of poets in East Revachol who were developing a new universal poetic language. But then it all went to shit.
Sounds intriguing. What say you, Art Cop? If it sounds like it makes no sense, that's because it doesn't.
I know. It was fucking awesome. Until I went on a jog, unleashing a cascade of doom that washed it all away. What? You've never seen 100% Lycra before? Go on, feel that primo material.
You really shouldn't touch it.
That might be the right idea. This here is one of the last of its kind. Should probably be in a museum.
By primo, he means possibly carcinogenic. Lycra TM was a synthetic fabric developed by manufacturers in the middle 40s, notable mainly for the swishy sound it makes as the wearer passes by. It's also known to become extremely itchy if not properly cared for.
Wow, you're lucky. He never lets me feel it.
That's because your paws are fucking filthy, Rosemary. We're right next to the bay. You could wash them anytime. My fellow members of the Union of Moribund Alcoholics? They're exactly what they look like.
Hey, tequila! You want to buy some speed?
Shut the fuck up, Rosemary. He's a cop, remember?
I thought he was a cool cop.
Don't call Abigail.
And this is Abs. So yeah, that's basically us. We drink together. Tequila, it's a verifiable tragedy. It was practically brand new. Sure, it didn't really go with my lycra threads, but it did itch a lot less. Say, you're a detective, right? Maybe you can help old Doom Spiral out. Solve the case of the missing jacket. What do you say, Tequila? Yeah, exactly. You're here to serve, right? If I knew where I lost it, don't you think I'd have it? I mean, maybe I was up by the boardwalk, or walking along the beach, or checking out the abandoned fish. Somewhere north of here, that's for sure. You could ask around, see if anyone's seen it. I'm all ears, Tequila. I do. But as you can see, my fuel tank is running quite low. If you catch my drift, then I can't keep on telling the stories. You too, Tequila son.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint. From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do. They squint at lights, and they solve shit. What are you, deaf? They're perfect, like rockstar politician and drug addict teacher. Embrace the superstardom you've worked so hard to establish. Yeah, you have. You're a big dick cop, Dick Mullen. Salam Rocky Bayi, badass on-the-edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera. Lights. With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's on.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? I'm listening. Good.
A drop in temperature, an easy flow of air, an empty street, before you, a thoroughfare unjammed with lorries. No more drivers smoking on hitch steps. Just silence. Chemically sweetened, across the road, a forgotten bus stop. Corrosion has opened a hole in its roof. An elm tree watches over the building. Its branches are dripping with rain and snow. The road is smooth and motley, craters filled with a black asphalt. The asphalt, first laid, is grey already. A row of tenements are under construction in the distance. A tub warm with water, white with soap. A man bathes while radio waves transmit the lottery numbers. 4, 18, 21, 4, 1. A modern washing machine rattles a drawer full of silverware. Number 312D. Young girls used to come here, huddled up, hoping for more warmth than their thin coats give them. The bus took them to school. It has not run for 8 years. There were not enough girls to sustain its cost. Craters pocked the surface. Children played in them, until heavy trucks full of black pitch rolled in. The landowners have filled the craters with money. It is a vital artery of the flow of trade. There's one bump on the road. A dead dog lies flat about 200 paces away, right at the turn. Tragedy comes from the wheels of a fast RCM vehicle, hurrying to work. The cold washes over you. The sound of the sea has grown distant. The wind moves the aerosol. A detective stands behind the boom barrier. It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. Arson, petty theft, spousal. You don't exactly. It takes about half an hour. It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks, on her rocking chair, with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. That's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. Who knows? Those pages are missing. What next? One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. Not much has changed in... A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual, even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinez sense. Grim affairs. Meaning, this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days. The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in this world.
Hello, I'm Gary. How do you do, officer? Yellow man. I mean, officer.
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man. Interesting. This is something to ask him about, after a little probing first.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization. I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
Degenerates? This man respects authority too much. To see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art a paragon of virtue.
I've been tempted on occasion, but someone has to stay strong for Revocol.
He pronounces Revocol with a hard K, unlike other people.
I like to pronounce it the hard way, the old way, the Vespertine way.
It's a secret rite. A very fringe nationalist handshake, probably.
Oh, so that's what the RCM in Martinez is about. Great. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that.
So you do know something about it?
No. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary. But everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it. That's all.
He's not feeling very comfy in his clothes, is he? Strange. He didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on here.
My mug? Why would you think that?
His eyes widen at the sight of the mug. He's seen it before, all right.
Oh, no, that's not... Why would I be calling to a broken mug? Maybe. Okay. Yes, I did. I know I shouldn't have, and I am very sorry, officer. You're not going to find me, are you? Whew. Thank you. You won't regret this. I won't use another man's property to dump my garbage ever again. I don't know what got into me, really.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out. I know a guy who works with the trash collection services, CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Himian. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself.
Disgraced? No need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that. I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard. Then I came out to clean up the rags, because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash, along with a broken mug, admittedly. Okay. I was coming to throw them.
Right. It was just civic duty.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before, but where?
What sound? Really? There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though. Insects, trash. Could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby.
Every day, the wind shifts the reeds and whatever was left in them. Tambourines and condom wrappers, plastic and glass bottles. The smell of decay.
Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor, but I don't know anything about it.
An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit more wrongdoing. There's something going on here. You should observe him more closely after this topic is concluded.
I hope I could help your investigation, in my small way.
Does this mean you were in his apartment, admiring his colonial mug collection? Perhaps it would be interesting to tell him.
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way, but I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
After all this time with Morel, he must have an opinion on cryptids. This could lead to a good one.
Oh, yes, the burning rhino. Morel doubts he's real, but I don't much care, because I won't be the one looking for him out in Safra Serai. A rhinoceros that looks ordinary during the day, but burns brightly by night. Well, at least the males do. They have special ducts just above their shoulder blades that secrete a combustible fluid. When the rhino is just beginning to light itself, it looks as though it has wings of fire.
But how is this combustible fluid lit?
The rhino starts running very fast to build heat, then stops, raises its head, and sparks fly from its neck, setting its back ablaze. Yeah, well, Revacol used to be a flaming rhino once, a long time ago. That seems unlikely too.
Super solid argument, Gary. Can't argue with that.
The flames are not just for decoration. They are an integral part of the beast's mating behavior. During the burning rhino's mating season, herds of male rhinos, all aflame, encircle herds of female rhinos, forming a fiery ring as they begin to copulate loudly. Local peasants call it the passion ring. They fear the rhinos, as perhaps they should.
The lieutenant sighs without looking up from his notes.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sail. I met...
Do you remember how, when we met Measurehead and I said the next racist will be the really good one? Well, this is that racist.
Hey, man, all I meant was there are not many Sealites around here. I'm just stating a fact. Oh, yes, of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. Sure do, officer.
His eyes narrow slightly. He's wondering where this is going.
In my home. Yes. When I was going to... How did you know? Is this about the Union? Did the big man open the door? So you work for Everard Clare? Officer, please tell him we're good. No, tell him I'll make it up to him. What have I done? He'll send the muscle after me.
As he lowers his tone, he hunches his back.
I was probably talking too loud in the whirling the other night. About some theories. Stupid. Shouldn't have run my mouth loud like that. I won't do it again. If there's anything I can do to assist you, or the Union, just ask, okay?
This scared him proper. He's positively melting from fear. Has to prop himself up with a lot of anger to keep it together.
The weather vane has turned. He cannot be unturned.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath. Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. I was ashamed of what I did, and I didn't want you to know.
We're not detecting falsehood, sire. He's gearing up to admit the truth.
Gary, what's going on?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
No, you've got explaining to do.
He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat. But so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling. So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left, so I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
We're detecting sincere contrition here, sire. He's not trying to flatter anyone.
It's okay. That was a loose end, and you are tying it up now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. CLI officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
They were thoroughly conservative men, he realizes suddenly.
Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you, but...
The hell, Gary? You in trouble?
I'll explain later. I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word. I don't...
This is all he knows.
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
Go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers.
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements ungainly. He looks like your understanding of a scientist.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance.
Oh no, it's all right. I'm just busy. What's this about? Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
The 881 is a raised motorway that separates Martinez from Jamrock. The labyrinth of streets underneath it makes it difficult to pass, not like walking over a nice waterlock.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
His hands are large and weather-worn, but also used to delicate, precise work. For all his passion, this man is diligent and patient. You could learn things from him.
Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it. Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists in our present case. It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen.
A ghost insect, he said? These people are looking for a ghost.
No, that is precisely what we're not. We are zoological specialists, looking for an extant species of phasmid. I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So, typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of my, of any, cryptozoology's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long. Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts. Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real?
I know it's real.
It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something more than the pure pursuit of scientific advancement.
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition. Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore. I have to resist the thought such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small population to
Yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate. Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick. Yes. Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can't get back out. At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton. Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a meat-eating stick insect. Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely.
Thank you for your opinion. We have also included plant material in the traps to satiate your skepticism. They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Yes. What? And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
Come on, Morel. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
She's seen it?
Yes. That's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine. Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now. No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting.
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and, above all, persistence. There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near. Another we sit in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there. On your way to the old radio tower, after the church. The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them... You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
That seems like a lot. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture? Even relative to examining a week-old corpse, I'm not sure mucking about in the reeds qualifies as fun. But have it.
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself.
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with the pheromone. It's made of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. Will last you about a week.
This is the smell of dying reeds, of longing crumbling into the water.
I hope you're not buying this. It dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
Right. Which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now...
If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss. But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both. It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often. Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does. My methods are the same as those of other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence, and I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen.
Your nerve endings tell you there is no such thing as a positive surprise.
Agreed. Yet there is always a chance, albeit a small one, of a truly good surprise. One simply needs to look at the... No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid, although I have come close. Close...
Interesting. Something for later.
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us here, to look for the phasmid. I keep a very open mind.
He's interested in things that people believe that scientists don't.
Most establishment scientists only care about reputation and remuneration, not real research, and certainly not the truth. They're a cowardly lot, and both the field and basement archives can be dangerous places. No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid. Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. Two are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection. Yes, the Chateau Quan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching. In fact, it is 0.05%. Ever more magnificent, should our search contribute to making that number 0.075%.
He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion.
Yes? All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what...
We would have to discuss. He wants to say, but decides against it, since you've offered to help.
A willow person. It's a long story. One non-specialist would find rather dull.
Willow people? Not at all.
They're not people, really. Some argue they aren't really animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees. They're very, very thin, almost flat in fact, and can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with the tree bark. In that way, they're not too dissimilar from the phasmid we're looking for here. You probably have. Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow-drying paint. It was a bright lavender colour. I was hoping one of the willow people would get paint on it and not be able to camouflage itself. After waiting in hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees, a lavender shadow. I chased it with a net. Not very elegant. You can't be elegant in the field. And, well, it was faster than me.
A lavender shadow.
I know you think we were snacking on funny mushrooms. It's easier to mock someone than to admit that the world might be more interesting than you've imagined. Furthermore, I'm not saying it was a confirmed sighting. I'm painfully aware of what goes into verifying such things. There is a serious possibility that I saw a squirrel or a trick of the light. I am my own harshest critic.
He makes it a real point here to sound falsifiable.
Confirmed. It's 100% verified and meets all the standards of an authentic cryptid sighting. Formerly the most dangerous, yes. But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid? The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant, known colloquially as the dread moose. Yes, the dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. It has even been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance. Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will. Just like an ordinary ardent moose. You can't. That's what makes it so dreadful and hard to identify.
A moose that looks like any other moose. What's going on here? He's kidding, right?
Of course you do.
The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more. Sightings in Vasa, reaching back 4 centuries. But, of course, nothing satiates the skepticism of...
A detective. Pardon me, I did not wish to seek conflict. It's simply my training to question things.
Understood, Lieutenant. That's impressive, I guess. But have you seen it with your own eyes? Of course you haven't. I haven't had a chance to travel to Coco North. No, and I likely never will. The Samaskill desert region has been embroiled in a small civil war for the last 8 years. I fear this mindless barbarism may have wiped out the elusive creature entirely. Sightings of towering luminosities have grown rare recently, while they once used to be constant.
Yes. Sightings of mirages are constant. A mirage is a constant phenomenon that people have no time to report when a war is going on. It remains unclear what this has got to do with you seeing it, as he was inquiring before. He was just being defensive.
Oh, everyone knows about that one, thanks to Professor Mijanu being the talk of the town for a time. Although, probably because her life ended as a result of her work in Gutler, no one remembers her contributions to the search for the Nong-Ok, a flightless cursor owl found in the Seminine Isles. Its long legs permit the Nong-Ok to run faster than any other avian, perhaps any other animal. Who knows? When it's not hunting its prey in this manner, the Ok hangs from tree branches, like a bat, waiting to dive on hapless prey below on the jungle floor. Mijanu liked extreme animals, you see. One of the few figures of the academic establishment I respect. Really a shame she disappeared. Oh, decades ago. In the 30s. I didn't know her personally, of course. The chasm of academic pretension still stood before us, even though she had unusual courage for someone from the other side. Did he? That one's a hoax. Some Seraise rice farmers set fire to rhinoceros cadavers and use them to scare tourists. Many times. It always turns into an argument. I don't want to repeat it. The rhino holds a special place in his heart. Let it. Myths are part of my field.
Which one? The burning rhino is where they draw the line.
Many of them probably are. Statistically speaking, about 20% of all cryptids are verified hoax.
If perhaps slightly less enjoyable.
Did you? It is almost as difficult to confirm a hoax as it is to... No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have... Me? I'm not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work and persistence.
This is a gruff man who's been ridiculed too many times to feel comfortable talking about what's dearest to his heart. It's in his shoulder.
By all means. Hell no. I had no idea. And I'm still cross with him, to be honest. It's not like him. It's got his quirks, but...
Thanks.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one... A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. The sun blazes high up in the sky, baking the planks, the sand, your skin. The order was carried out in the afternoon. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air, the lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces. It could even have been the employees of the failed R&D center down the coast, as their building was taken over by the revolutionaries.
Or maybe...
Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures.